the presentation. If you're from a Google school, you'll have instant access to everything we're about to show you in Google Drive. If you are from an Office 365 school, welcome along. You will have an equivalent to this in Office 365, and we covered that in yesterday's webinar. You can get a link off of our YouTube channel for that. But I'm happy to answer any questions. If, as always, you could pop questions into the chat on the side of the Google Meet, I'll come back and pick those up at the end, and we'll go through any areas that aren't clear for you. So from feedback previously, people are saying these sessions are really useful and they'd like to delve a little bit deeper into applications. So that's what we've done today. We are going to delve into Google Drive in a bit more detail. One of the benefits we're going to look at is access from anywhere to your files aspect. We're also going to look at how you personal drives, so that's uploading and editing and so forth, and then we'll look at how you share work collaboratively with others and how that links out with the Google Apps. As I said, there'll be an opportunity for question and answers at the end, and we'll make sure that we've got plenty of time for that. So if anyone's got something that they need to get addressed, we will do that. As with everything, we've got access across all devices. There are dedicated apps for most mobile phone platforms and tablets. And as long as you've got a web browser on a computer, whether it's an Apple Mac, a Windows laptop, or whether you're using a Chromebook, you'll be able to get into your Google Drive. And it is a hub for all your files, but it's way more than that at the same time. As I've said in previous training sessions we've run for Google, the Teach from Home is a really valuable place to get resources from. I won't click on it today, but there is a section in there for Google Drive and file management. It will take you out to your Google Drive if you don't know how to navigate there, although I will show you that in just a moment. But at the same time, we will be covering the aspects of what to do with it and how to use it there too. I seem to have a problem with my presentation. I've just realized I am just going to reshare with you. Has that solved it for you? Can everybody now see the presentation? Yes. Apologies. I don't know why I didn't share previously, but it does now. Let me just jump backwards in the slide deck for you. So those are the areas we're going to cover. Personal devices, effectively it's available on any personal or school device. Even if you haven't got permission to install the apps, you can always open up a web browser and access it. Teach from Home is there. So Teach from Home links you out to a website, and on the website down the bottom here, you'll find the sections on file management. So we're going to use, for instance, all the Google apps, such as Slides and Docs, and we'll link out to them. In here, it's got about how to use your web browser and to get access to your files. So when you need resources, if there's anything you want to follow up from today, Teach from Home is the place to go to. Also, if you need to offer support to parents that are maybe going to be going in, using it, then that's a good place for them to pick it up. And remember, it's in any language. As far as file management goes, you've got two things to remember with Google. You've got My Drive, which is your Google Drive. That's personal to you, and nobody else can get into there unless you invite them by a share link or you copy something out to them. And we'll look at how to do those in just a bit. You've also got what used to be called team drives, but now they're called shared drives. And they are for collaboration of files that are not meant to be personal where nobody else is accessing them. Those are the mirror of what you might have on a traditional server. So you might have or had a whole school shared area or a pupil shared drive or a teacher shared drive, where you have shared drives in Google for exactly the same purpose. You just need to remember that anyone in there can edit, delete, or move those around. So if it's something you want to be left for you, maybe it's your personal planning to deliver your teaching and learning, or it's something that's got sensitive data, it goes in your My Drive, then it's you and only you that can get to it. If not, it goes into what used to be called a team drive, which is now a shared drive. And that's for consumption for everyone in the school. But you can limit it, for instance. So if it was a teachers only shared drive, you can manage it on the admin console so that only people in the teachers group can get access to that. And if you were a pupil, you wouldn't see the teacher's shared drive. It remains private, just like it does on a traditional server. So without any further delay, I'm going to jump out of the slideshow and I'm going to pop over to my Google Drive. And mine's been used a little bit. So I've got some folders here which relate to different things that we've been doing. We've got a couple of individual documents down here, training questions and so forth that have come up from previous sessions. As far as where you are going to work, priority documents, if it's something that's high priority or something that you flagged as high priority, you can almost pin them in the priority section there, and that will make them easy to get to. You've then got My Drive, which is your main section. Under My Drive, there's a button on the left-hand side, and if you unclick it, you will see all the folders just like you're seeing there, but on the side. So to make it easier to navigate, if you've gone into one of those folders and you want to get to another folder, you can uncollapse the My Drive menu and you can still get into them without having to go backwards and forwards in the main window over here. I'm just going to recollapse them a moment. The next section is Shared with Me, and that's any file that has been shared with you by somebody else outside of the company or the school. And you can see there's various documents there that have been shared with me by different people, and you will see that. One thing to note is you can't reorganize the documents in there into neat folders. They will just sit in a stream, and you can either sift them by name, you can sift them by person shared, or you can sift them by the date they were shared. If you want to organize them, you need to make a copy of them and then pop them back into My Drive, and then you can edit them without affecting the original, because if you edit the ones that are in here, you would affect the original if you've been given edit rights. And that's one of the things we'll look at, whether you want to allow someone to edit a document or they just view it and they have to take a copy. Recents are recently opened documents. So you can see there was the slides that I've been editing for today. And that's just a jump list almost. If you know you've been doing something recently, maybe you're writing the reports every day and you add a little bit to them. Instead of having to delve down through the folders in My Drive, you can go to Recents and then you can just pick it up from there. Again, like priority, if you're prioritizing or you're starring something, that's documents that are of high importance and you want to get to them fairly regularly. So it might be a planning template if you use that in your school. It might be that there's a particular report you fill in regularly, so therefore it goes there and you start documents, and it just makes them quick and easy to come to them. It's a question of, and I've often used this phrase before, less is more with the start documents and the priority documents. If you get too much in there, a bit like my priority, it all starts to get lost in the mess and the tangle of what's going on. And then it isn't really a priority anymore. It's you trying to work out what is a priority. So just really pin the things in that are a priority to you. The bin will be where any files go that you delete from My Drive, and they sit in there by default for 30 days before Google Vault takes care of things for you. So Google Vault is where your files are stored, and it will also delete them for you after 30 days. So if you delete something out of your My Drive, it sits in here for 30 days before it gets deleted again. There is, unless your school pays for it, there is not a backup. So you have specialist pieces of software that will back up your Google Drive, or you can use features in Google itself for G Suite where you can back it up. But by default, it's not backed up. So you need to make sure that if you delete something or you notice that something's gone and it's in the bin, that you do something to either retrieve it or rectify it before the 30 days are up. Just wanted to flag that to you. When you start to use G Suite, you'll see by default, if you've got Google Classrooms, we'll have a folder called Classroom. So if I went in there, there's my 2 demo classrooms that I use, and that's where the files will be stored for those classrooms. And if you've been on previous webinars, we've covered Google Classroom. So don't delete that folder. It's got the information in there for your Google Classrooms, and if you modify anything in there, it's going to affect your Google Classrooms. Also, if like today, you are recording meetings, then it will end up here in the recordings folder. So the mystery should be revealed for the people that have been on these webinars. You can go in, and there are the videos that are recorded, and those are the ones that we then upload to the YouTube channel for you. So if you start to use Hangout Meets and you use the record functions, you will get a meeting recordings folder created for you by default. And in the meetings record folder will be meetings there. Once you get a few of them and you know you've done something with them, you've edited, you've shared, or you've uploaded them to YouTube or somewhere else, then you can delete them. You don't have to keep them in there. Also, if you make Google Sites, which is something we covered in the previous webinar, there will be a Sites folder, and then all of your files and folders in there associated with the sites will be also popped in there too. Then it's up to you if you want. In your plus button over here, you've got an option to make new folders. You can upload files from your computer, or you can upload folders from your computer, but you've also got a jump list to create documents. So not just clicking Google Docs, for instance, that's the equivalent of a word processor. You can make a blank document, or you can work from a template straight out of here. So you don't have to go over to the app launcher and go into the dedicated app. You can do it straight out of Google Drive. It means that everything's in one place and it's less confusing. And if you're teaching with pupils, it's absolutely crucial to stopping them wandering off and getting distracted to have it all in one place. Down here on the More section, there's another little cunning menu that flops out. And that's where you can make Google Forms. And again, we've covered this in another webinar, but you can make a blank form, which you can convert into a quiz, or you can go from a template. And then there's other options in here for different apps that we're not covering today. But you can connect more apps into that list by pressing the plus sign at the bottom. So that's where you can start things. If I wanted to make a new folder, and maybe my folder is going to be called administration, because I've got various bits of administrative tasks. Might create it. I'm having a moment today where I can't type. I'll press create, and then that folder will instantly appear here. Now, if I went into that folder, I've got an empty folder because there's nothing in there. I can either go to new and I can start to create a Google Doc. So I might go in there and I might say I'm going to create a template this time. It automatically opens up Google Docs for me. I don't need to do anything else. Oh, I've got no templates available for my demo environment. So let's just jump out of there, go back over to Docs, and we'll go in again, new, and blank document. Up it comes, and I'm going to say this is an example of a department meeting. And I might say maths meeting agenda. And this is all saving in real time to your Google Cloud. At the moment, you'll notice it creates it as an untitled document. You don't need to close things down and edit them. If you click on it, it will automatically take the suggested first line as the title of the document to save you even typing it in. If you want to edit that, you could say the maths meeting for today, which will say is the 6th. And that enhances the title that I've got for the document, but it doesn't change the title I've got in here. Google Docs is a fully fledged word processor online, so you can carry on, you can quite happily use it. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. What you would see if you went back to your drive, let me close that down, is if I go back into my drive and I go back into administration. Oh, there's my first wobbly for the day. I should have a document in there called meeting minutes, but it's not appeared. So it should sit just in there. Let's see if I can find it. Let's just refresh. Sometimes you get it, you have to refresh the browser. So let's just refresh the browser up here. And there it is. It's something to be aware of. I've had some staff have a meltdown because maybe they spent 2 hours writing their reports and they think their Google Doc hasn't gone in. You just refresh the Chrome browser, and I always recommend using the Chrome browser with G Suite. It will be there. It will have just come back. So don't worry too much. It is backed up. And if I clicked on that document, it would take me back into exactly where I left off and open it up as a new tab. And there we go. So editing documents all happens from inside. You can drag documents in and upload them as well. So if I went into here, this is my Windows laptop, I might go to my downloads folder, and I've got a file there about Chromebook security and privacy. So I'm going to drag that in and release it. I'll get a little message down here saying it's uploading, and there it is. It's uploaded into the folder. The same thing happens if it's a folder full of files or a folder full of more folders full of files. You drag it in from just dragging it across, let it go, and it will upload depending on the speed of your connection. Or you can go to new and you can press upload file or upload folder, and it looks to my computer. There it is. So I might say that that's going to be that file there. I press open, and then it would upload it and pop it in. And I get the green tick on the bottom right-hand corner to tell me that the file or the folders have gone in and it's all complete. Or if there's been a problem, you'll get an error message down there and you'll get some description as to what's gone wrong. Most of the time, while we're working on distance learning and we're at home using home broadband, it's just because the broadband's being used by lots of people and it didn't upload properly. You particularly get that if there's a large file. So just be aware if that's happening. And if you're doing a lot of information, maybe you're moving everything from a USB stick that you've used and you're sticking it into your Google Drive to use at a later date. I would say put out one folder at a time or a couple of folders instead of dragging the whole USB stick over, because that can have the effect of causing upload corruptions, or it doesn't go up properly, and then you're left scratching your head thinking, well, what bits did go up and what bits didn't go up. It's great when you've got it in there because you don't have to worry about it again, but it's one of those things where doing it in the first place, just take a bit of time and get it over. Once you've got them in here, anything in Google format, in other words, it's a doc, a sheet, or a slide, you can edit it natively inside of the web browser. And as I said, it opens it up as another tab there. You can put other file formats in. So if you use Promethean files because you've got Active Inspire, or maybe you use Smart Notebook, or you might use some Microsoft file formats, they will sit quite happily in Google Drive. When you click them, they would come up in a preview mode. Let me see if I've got one to do there. So I might just make a new file on my computer. Let's go over here. Let's go into there. Let's call it test. I'm just going to save it as an example of a Microsoft file format going in. Save that to my downloads folder, I think. I'm going to call it test, save it in there. And if I then went back into my Google Drive, and I'll upload it this time using this method. So file upload, there's my test. I press open and it will upload it quite happily. In it goes. You see it's got a W for Word format. If I click on it, it will come up in what's called a preview window. So you can see what's in there, but you won't be able to edit it. You can still print it. You can still download a copy. You can still add comments. But if you want to then edit it, you've got to make a choice. Do you want to download it and open it because it's in a Microsoft format and you're on a Microsoft computer? Or do you want to open it with Docs? You've got other options there as well. And if you open it in Docs, it will convert a copy across, and then you can open it up and edit the version in Docs. It does come over pretty well. You get the odd formatting option, mainly around tables or pictures if it's going to throw up a problem. But on the whole, the conversion now is pretty good, so it won't cause you too many issues. So that is getting files in and uploading. Now you've got them in, you can edit in any of your Google Docs online. If you've got things like PDFs, obviously you can't edit those. Those come up in the preview there, so you can see here's my Chromebook security policy document. Could add a comment in, which adds a comment and it sticks it to the document, so anyone else opening it up can see your comments. But that's pretty much all you can do unless you've got a PDF editor. So you might need to download that locally. If you've got a PDF piece of software or an app you're downloading from the Google App Store, there are some apps on there that will allow you to edit them in some degree. So once you've got that, you can then share your documents. So you can see you get a darker blue, was pretty pale, but a darker blue area on the background. And when you click on a document, it will change the options available. So up at the top, I've got my file path. I'm in my drive. I'm in the administrations folder. If I added another folder in, maybe it said meetings, it would say meetings there, and I can click backwards and forwards to navigate around my drive from there. I don't have to go on the side, or I can unclapse it there and I can use the files and folders over there. Choice is yours about how you want to navigate around. But once I've got something, I might want to share it. So it might be my test document. Let's click on that one. When I click on it, the options change at the top. The first way of sharing it is you've got a shareable link. If you click that there, link sharing is off usually by default, although the administrator for your school might have put it on. You pop it on there, it gives you a share link. When you click it, you can then paste that into other areas. So you might add it to a Google Classroom, you might pop it into a site if you're building a Google site, or you might just put it into a Gmail if you're going to be emailing someone, and that would give them a share link. But you've got settings on the share link. So when you click the share link settings, you need to decide who can have access. So at the moment, because this is a turn it on demo G Suite, we're saying anyone in turn it on, it will say the name of your school, can view, but you can change that so you can give them edit rights or options to add comments, or you can leave it just a view. So I'm going to say I want them to add comments. I've got to invite them. So I might say I'm going to invite one of our demo accounts, and then I'll put a note in there. So it's a bit like an email. Please add your feedback. And then I would just down the bottom here, press send, and it will send them over. I won't do it because it will spam our demo account, but as easy as that to send a share link. If I come out of that a minute, you can also, and this is the more useful option here, share directly with people. It looks very, very similar. So you can get a shareable link out of there, which is the option I just showed you separately, but they're embedded with each other, they're intertwined. And then that works in exactly the same way. You've got your options to comment, edit, view. So if you want someone to have a view-only access and then talk to them about it, that's a good way to do it. You can also do the same options there on the sides. There's more than 2 ways of the same thing. If you need to copy the link, you can copy it from there. If you decide that you're going to give someone edit access, you can go to advanced mode in the corner. You'll see who you've given access to up there. You've got a couple of options down here. So you can prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. In other words, if you've shared it with them, it stops them sharing it with someone else. And you can also disable the ability for them to download and take a copy out. So they have to edit it inside their G Suite. If you want to apply those 2 options, it might be relevant in some scenarios if it's somebody outside of your school, or maybe you're sending it across to someone official, maybe you're sending it across to a social worker or something, you want to apply those. But they're there as options. So that is how you share. Once the person receives it, they'll get an email notification in their Gmail, and it will appear here in their shared with me list. And then they can either open it up directly, or they can take a copy and put it into their My Drive. The great thing about that is that you can edit in real time. So if I went into my department meeting minutes, if I'd invited somebody in, we can edit together, and it can be multiple people editing together. And you can see in there it says Martin Long. Well, what it would say, there'd be a different coloured pin, and when I hovered over them, it would say their name, and what they typed in real time would appear in real time in the document. So if they were amending the meeting, and then it would all be saved. So you don't have to have versions stacked up that need to be merged at the end. You don't have to attach them to Gmails anymore. You can do it all straight from in Google Drive. You can also do it in the document as well. So there's a share link from in the document. So if you were working in the document, you thought, oh, I quite like with somebody else's contribution in this, click the share link, up comes the share link window, and you can do the share from straight inside the document. You don't need to leave the document and go back to Drive. It's all from inside there. If I go back over then, other options available. You can preview what something looks like, so that just gives you a preview of what the person would see. If you want to delete something, you press the remove button, and then it will move it over into the bin. If you wanted to restore something from the bin, you click on it, and then you can restore it back over. You can right click and press restore, or you can empty your bin out and delete forever, which is also the same option up there, delete forever. If I pop back to my Drive, at the moment I've but what I can do is change to a grid view. So I can change the grid view there, where I get a preview of the files. And if that's more of a help to you, so you get an insight into what's in the file before you start, you can swap between the 2 options there, grid view and somebody's just got their mic. You could just mute that, because everything that's going on in the background, your channel will be recorded and they'll be shared on our YouTube channel. Over on the side there, if you want to get a bit more of an document, if I went into Google Classroom again, now let's go into administration, and I go back into my test department meeting, I might want to see what's been happening, so I can view a bit more detail about what's going on with that document. It gives you an insight into what's happened. So in here, I've got details that tell me what the name of the document is, where it's located, when it was last modified, opened. I can also change permissions in here, like give it descriptions. If it was helpful for someone to know that the meeting minutes were to be looked at by people who couldn't attend, you might want to add a description in there. The other useful tab in there, so that's the details tab, is the activity tab. And this becomes a constant stream. If more had been going on, it would tell me who accessed it, what they did, and it gives you a log of activity on that folder or that file. So if you want to understand when a change happened, you can go in there and find out the activity at the same time. Just popping back over to our presentation, and I think that probably covered quite a few of the areas that we were going to look at. So I'm going to pop back onto that slide. So we've done links, we've done working on documents and everything. I think that actually covers all the areas that we were going to look at today. So it's probably a good option for me to stop screen sharing and down the bottom here. And then what we can do is take any questions. I'm just going to pop back into the Google Meets and have a look if we've got any questions on the side there. Oh, it's absolutely empty. Anybody want to unmute their mic and share a question with me? Roy, you've got a question. Can you extend the bin time period? Yes, you can. So if you spoke to the person that was the administrator for your G Suite, you can set the time that documents are held in individual staff or pupil bins and extend it. So it could be 30 days, could go up to 60 days. I wouldn't advise going more than 90 days, otherwise it amasses quite a bit of data in your G Suite. Also, it becomes so clogged and cluttered that it's meaningless anyway, unless someone starts to manage it themselves and does that delete free option where they empty out their own rubbish and clean it up every so often. But a lot of people just put things in the bin and then they forget about it until the G Suite itself takes care of it. The next question from Jill: do I organize documents shared with me in the same way as documents I create myself in my drive? So anything in a shared with me, you can't organize. It is just a list. You can sift them by the name of the person that shared or the date. But if you want to organize them, you've got to take a copy of it and pop it into your My Drive. But if you're collaborating and you know somebody wants a contribution, I would say collaborate and then leave it in the shared list. There's no way to organize a shared list. It is just a list. Robin, I was wondering if there's a quick way to make multiple copies of a document, to make 90 copies of a Google Doc for reports, and it took me forever. Okay, we can cover that in a minute. Let's do that now. Let me reshare my screen with you. I think that's a question of just readjusting your thinking in the way that what Google Drive can do for you. So traditionally, we would have, if it reshares, we would have done exactly that. We'd have made 90 copies and we'd have 90 copies available. But if it was my department meeting minutes, I would click on it, I would press the invite button, and I would just invite all the people in here with the 90 email addresses to go into the document. The question might be for if you didn't want them all to be putting their contributions into one document and you wanted them all to have separate documents. The question there is it the right platform? So would you be able to unmute your mic a moment and just talk to me? Is that a situation where, for instance, you want to get a piece of work to 90 pupils and you want them all to have their own copy, or was it something like that? Robin, are you able to unmute your mic and speak to me on that one?
Can you hear me?
Hi, Robin.
Sorry, I couldn't work out how to unmute it then.
That's all right.
So I've got 90 children in my year group, so I needed one report for each child, and I only had the template.
Okay.
So each child needed a separate report, so I had to do it, and I just had to make a copy, and obviously I was there for a very long time.
That is painful. I don't know of a standard feature in Google Drive itself. There might be a plug-in app you can get as an extension to the Chrome browser or something like that, where you can do that. I'm just trying now on that department meeting, make a copy, and it just does the one copy as I'd expect. Can't see an option there to make multiple copies, but I appreciate that would be extremely useful.
It's fine, it's done now. I just wondered for future.
Yeah, no, I get your drift there. There may well be a plugin, and if anyone's seen one and they're on this call, shout. I know there's plugins for just about everything, anything in the Google world. So I would say that that's something that is probably out there, but I would even need to go and look myself to find where it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Karen, you've asked a question. If you save a document in the wrong person's drive, i.e. the family that you're sharing a device with, what's the easiest way to transfer it? So, Karen, have you got, for instance, 2 or 3 Chromebooks all signed in under the same G Suite account? Is that the situation?
Yes, it is. And I'm on a Chromebook as well. And it's like there's a hole in my bucket. It goes round and round and round. And I just can't get out of, if someone's working on a document,
yeah,
you look up and you're in the wrong account. And I don't understand how 2 people are logged in at the same time. You think you're working on your own account and you look and your document is in the other person's account because they're both logged on at the same time.
Yeah, I suppose that's a management issue. So I would say if it's possible, are they children in your house?
Yeah, because it has to be linked to me because it's a child account. So yeah.
Yeah, so it is possible to create G Suite accounts that are under you as a parent and make them sub accounts with all the restrictions and safeguarding in place that a child would require. but then they would have their own Google Drive. As a parent, you
Mhm.
their drive, but then they wouldn't save stuff into your drive. And when you save by default, then it would only go to your drive and their drives.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
yeah, sorry. The only other way to do that, I know what you're talking about. I haven't used a setup like you're describing for probably about 2 years now ish.
Okay.
But when you go into, let me reshare. The only thing I can think of suggesting is a really quick fix. Let me present again. Present my screen. Yeah, I can understand your pain on that one, because all of a sudden it goes down the rabbit hole, doesn't it? So for instance, here where I've got my copy of my department meeting I made earlier, the only thing I can think of, although you wouldn't want to do this a lot, is to go in and look at the details, and it will tell you the location of where it is. And you could find out where it is there, and you can move the appropriate drive. But that's not going to be a great fix for if you've got multiple files and folders all happening at the same
I
time.
haven't got multiple yet. That's the thing. I've only got a couple at the moment. I'm trying to resolve it before it gets too bad.
In the My Drive, depending on the age of your children, I've got a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old myself, so I get where you're coming from. Is it possible for you to create a folder in the current setup you've got, a folder for each child, and then get them to understand they need to save their work in their folders to keep it away?
Yeah, it might be the way. Yeah, I'll have a look. Yeah, it's more of a. Okay. I'll have a look. Yeah.
No problem. I'll just stop sharing again. Next question. I can see there was another one down there. So Lorraine, if you've been given the edit rights on a shared doc, I've managed to move the doc to a folder in my drive. Does it mean my version is not the same that everyone else is seeing? Yeah, correct, Lorraine. If you move a copy to your drive, it's you taking a copy of it for your own purposes. If you know you need to contribute collaboratively and your edits need to go into the same document that everyone else is seeing, you need to open it up from the shared with me bit of the drive and edit it through there. If you make any changes in the copy that went into your My Drive, it won't. Does it open Office? Does the Open Office offer similar features to the offline reopen? Roy, would you be able to just unmute and just talk me through that a little bit more? Are you able to unmute, Roy? Oh, I can see you moving. Hold on a minute. I'm going to try unmuting you myself. I have to unmute you. Roy, you're muted on the bar at the bottom, Roy. If I present to you, there's a mute button down here. If you press the mute button in the middle, let's hide that out of the way. If you press the mute button there, you're currently muted. If you unmute, I'll be able to hear what you're saying. Still got a red line through your mic. It's infuriating. Hold on a minute. So let me stop sharing.
How's that?
There you are. Hello, Roy. Yes, I got you.
Yeah, I do like using documents I can save directly to my computer as opposed to keeping them effectively in the cloud, which is where Google Documents work. And I like OpenOffice because you don't have the problems that you may have with activations of Word, and it's free.
Yep, absolutely. So if you're using OpenOffice locally installed, something we're not covering in today's is you could sync your Google Drive to your computer. Are you using a Windows computer, Roy?
Yeah, I have a Windows computer, but again, with all the problems with Windows 10, I'm thinking to go to a Linux-based system.
Okay, so if you go to Linux, it's fine. It works in the same way. But what you could do is you can install Google Drive as an app to either Linux or Windows, and then you will be go to your window over here, and on the left, like where I've got this PC or OneDrive, you see one that says Google Drive, and then you could open your files in OpenOffice and edit them locally, and it will save it back to Google Drive in the cloud. But you'd also additionally have a second copy locally on your computer.
Okay.
But you need to install Google Drive app. It's painless. It takes a matter of about a minute.
Oh yeah. That's I understand that. It's just, as I say, I just do like using software that on a physical computer. I know Chromebooks are rising in popularity, and people are being, I think, driven towards them really at the moment because of Windows 10's unreliability.
Yes.
And that's what's prompted me asking the question today, because I'm seriously thinking about it. Because during the lockdown, I've had multiple problems with my computers because of Windows 10's updates, locking things up, disabling things, and not being able to unlock them.
Yes.
So it's really be giving me pause for thought to just basically get off Windows and go Linux.
Yeah, I mean, what
Basing that through
at the end of
OpenOffice,
the
I
day,
understand Google Documents be openable still because it's an online facility, but I would like still to be able to use something that was personal to my computer that I could reconfirm backwards, so to speak, back into Google.
yeah, that's not a problem. That would work, and then you could edit locally still.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
thank you.
thank you, Roy, for unmuting and having a chat. I'm going to go to Jill next. So, Jill, you've just says, can you show us how to add a comment to a document, e.g. a PDF, please? Yeah, I will just reshare my screen a moment. Let me go in. Okay, just going to reshare the screen so you can see my drive. If I go into my document there, up here on the side is a add a comments box up in the top right hand corner. So if I click and add a comment, and I want to say that this is the bit I'm going to comment on, so I'm going to highlight that. Then over on the side, I might say, what are the true benefits of cloud? Oh, I really can't type this morning. Good job I didn't work in an office in a school. And then I press comment, and then all of a sudden my comment's there on the side, and then other people can resolve it for me, or there's options there to edit it again. And people can then respond to that comment underneath. So you get a chain of discussion in the comments. So comments are really useful, and they apply to all Google Docs as well, but you can pin them into PDFs in the same way. So if you know you want to send something to somebody, and you want to send it across a share link, the comments will go across with it. And they can then see the comments you made and they can respond to you. So if you want to just discuss something or review it or evaluate it, comments are a great way to do that, even in PDFs. Does that help, Jill? I'll just stop presenting there. Any other questions? Jill's question was the last one on the side. Anybody else got anything they want to throw in there? I'm more than happy to answer anything that if I can answer it. No, utter silence. Okay, I might stop the, no problem, Jill. I'm going to stop the recording a minute, but